Hello everyone, I will provide you today a novel called We Live Here Now. It's a horror novel, I hope that you will like it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like to the video, and let's begin.
Chapter 1, Emily. The house looks different from how it did in the photos. Freddy pulls the car up close to the front door and smiles across at me before getting out. I try to reciprocate, but my heart is sinking. The pictures were taken in summer, when the front garden was full of color and life. Now, as I push the car door open and swing my bad leg out before gritting my teeth against the pain and hauling myself inelegantly onto my feet, everything is covered in icy gray mist, and the ground is hard and dead. I lean heavily on my stick. My joints are sore from sitting for hours on the drive, and the sharp air is like icing sugar in my lungs, making me want to cough with every breath. The wind coming in from the moor, cutting into me despite my thick coat. The quiet of the frozen countryside makes my stinging ears ring. Everything is awash with shades of gray, but still, it makes me squint. There's too much to take in. What do you think? We both rest on the bonnet of the car as I contemplate my answer, looking up at the large house looming over me. Larkin Lodge is written in thick black letters above the imposing front door. Larkin Lodge, our new home. The house stands alone on a hill, the drive simply a turn off a country lane, marked by old, low stone walls. Beyond, all I can see is moorland, wild and untamed, a spattering of snow here and there that has refused to melt. No sheep or cows, just uneven ground and rough shrubs amid rocky outcrops. I feel like I'm in a Brontë novel. I take his arm, and our feet crunch loud on the gravel as we move toward the front door. Does that make me Mr. Rochester? Are you my Jane Eyre? Well, you'd better not have another wife locked up in the attic here, otherwise you're in trouble, my friend. I don't tell him. It's Wuthering Heights that had come to mind, and how that one doesn't end so well for the characters in it. The ghost of Kathy pleading at the window to come inside. Freddy only knows Jane Eyre because he claimed to like the classics when we met, and I'm sure he quickly scanned a couple, when in fact the years have proven that he's more a Feuillechild's on holiday reader than a proper bookworm like me. It looks different in the flesh. It's like it's suddenly real. It is real. He unlocks the door with an old-fashioned key and nods me inside. I step across the threshold, and while the immediate eartha exhale that rushes out to greet me is not exactly cold, neither is it warm, as if Larkin Lodge is perhaps as unsure of me as I am of it. I do relax a little as the door closes behind us and the warmth from the radiators finally envelops me. There are polished wooden floors and a feature central staircase that is both imposing and austere. But there are also fresh flowers in my vase from Heels, sitting on the stylish rose and gray hallway table Iso bought us for our 10th anniversary. Freddy promised he'd have all the unpacking done by the time the hospital let me out, and he's been true to his word on that. Farther into the house, I peer into a bright sitting room, or drawing room, or whatever people who have more than one living room call a second or third downstairs room. An Artil loaf sofa, wine stain and all, is waiting there for me to collapse on. It's bigger than I thought. I'm trying to be happy, but I'm having a massive pang of missing our little garden flat in Kentish Town and feel a little sick. What have we done? I know I'm being childish. It was my dream, after all, a house in the country, away from the madness of London, with space and air to breathe. And it was me who first saw Larkin Lodge online, and made a lot of noise about escaping everything and how it would be perfect. I didn't, however, expect to wake up from a coma several months later and find Freddy so enthusiastically suggesting we sell and move here that I heard myself agreeing. But then I hadn't been expecting to be in a coma either, and I hadn't expected the gut punch of being let go from work after I'd done so much. So much I didn't want to think about to get the promotion secured just before my accident. Marriage is teamwork, he'd said as he held up the keys in the rehab center. You wanted a life in the country, and I'm on board with that. The move kept him busy, at least. Freddie has never been good with worry, and while I lay between life and death, getting all the pieces in place for me to nod a yes to kept him busy. It would be a lie to say I've had no excitement about the move to I have. From my hospital bed it felt like exactly what I need, a fresh start, but as the days ticked round to leaving, the excitement trickled away to something close to regret as the reality of my situation sank in. I wanted the safety of the known, the comfort blanket of my familiar nest to lick my wounds in. Freddie's still looking at me, expectant, and I give him a big grin, shaking away my gloom. A year to recuperate fully, that's what Dr. Canning said I needed. The quiet country life will probably be good for me, and it is a beautiful house. I have to get used to it, that's all. I guess we live here now, I say. I guess we do, he answers. Chapter 2. Freddie Jesus. I can't believe I'm in this mess. It's getting dark outside, marginally preferable to the endless suffocating gray of the awful winter moors, and even though the heating's on, I'm cold again. There's always a draft in this bloody house, and it does nothing to improve my mood. The warmth of the Aga stove seeps through my jeans as I lean against it. Boiling water for pasta. My phone's on silent in my pocket, just in case, and I can hear Emily's stick tapping as she explores the house, her walk a slow echo of her usual confident stride. The sound makes me feel worse. I am not a good person. How could I have done this to her? How can I still be doing it to her, after what she's been through? Everything she's been through, the guilt, the constant fear of discovery is a cancer inside me. How have I got myself so trapped? I turn on the radio, needing distraction, some cheesy 90s local radio station, and whistle along, feigning normality, as I add pasta to the boiling water and dig around in the cupboard for a sauce. I can sort it. I have to. It's all going to be fine. It is as long as Emily never finds out. Chapter 3. Emily. There are so many rooms downstairs, I feel almost dizzy. My walking stick taps on the wooden floor, and I keep one hand on the cool walls as I slowly explore. The wallpaper's thick, lining every room thus far, the different damask patterns in the flock, like braille under my fingertips. The rich colors, faded greens, yellows, blues, and reds remind me of ladies' evening gowns from long ago, stretched out across the walls like skin. The formality of the colors against the dark wood floor makes the rooms oppressive and austere, and full of shadows, uninviting. The house, I decide, as I move from room to room, is like a prim governess judging me disapprovingly for my baggy jeans and sweatshirt. It doesn't help that several rooms are still unused, the air filled with dust and abandonment. God knows how long the place has been empty, but I make a mental note to get some paint samples as soon as possible. Light, bright colors will make a world of difference. Bring some joy to the place, along with the kitchen and sitting room that I've already seen. There's a dining room, a drawing room, and another room that Freddie's turned into a games room, as well as a smaller room that may have been a study, since there's a desk pushed up against the wall, maybe left by the previous occupants. And beyond there a downstairs toilet and a utility or storage room. Past the kitchen there's a corridor, leading to what must have once been tech and boot rooms. There's no wooden floor in those, just uneven flagstone, freezing underfoot, and high, narrow windows that need a winder to open. They're colder than the other rooms too, no pretense at heating, and I guess we could use them as a pantry or storage room. I head back to the warmth of the central hallway, where I can hear Freddie whistling along to the radio as he cooks on the AGA. I've always wanted an AGA. I get a free song of happiness that. A hopeful moment that once I'm used to this house, it'll be okay. I wish we'd moved in summer. I wish Larkin Lodge felt like it had looked in the photos. I wish I could stop being so ridiculous. I climb the stairs to the middle floor, slowly and carefully, my right leg taking every step, the left following behind, and the creaking wood gives away my slow progress. No running up and down with no thought of danger for me. Maybe never again. One serious brush with death brings every danger into sharp focus. It changes a person. I grip the handrail tight and finally turn the corner. From up here I can't hear Freddy anymore, only the rattling of the landing window from a breeze outside, and I tighten up the lock to quiet it before continuing. 3 double bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The door's hinges creak as I push them open. The largest of the bedrooms is made up. The pink duvet cover a spark of brightness amid the door, and has our things on the bedside tables. And in the nearest bathroom, I find the beautiful roll-top bath I'd seen in the photos, which makes me happy, because I've always wanted one of those 2 and all our toiletries. There's a steeper staircase leading up to the 3rd floor, where the primary suite is, but, as Freddy warned me, until my leg is stronger, there's no way I can contemplate making it up there. I go back into the bedroom Freddy's allocated to us and look out the window. The thin mist of earlier has become a thick fog, wound around the house and the darkening sky like a shroud. And if I want to see the views or garden, I'm going to have to wait until morning. It's ready. I hear Freddy call up from the bottom of the stairs. Hope you're hungry. As I turn my back on the creeping fog, I hear a creak from somewhere in the upstairs corridor. It's long and slow, almost deliberate. Too close to be downstairs. Has Freddy come up to get me? The landing, however, is empty and quiet. It's just an old house, I tell myself, shaking away my unsettled feeling. Old houses creak like old bones. Chapter 4, Emilyam, Dreaming. I know I'm dreaming, because although I'm back on that narrow cliff path, I'm wearing a hospital gown and a ventilator mask on my face, and not my shorts and t-shirts. I'm walking ahead of Freddy, like I was then, annoyed at the heat of the Avitha sun that burst through the clouds, just as we'd reached the trickiest part of the hike, and at the baked sandy stones that make my footsteps unsteady. I didn't even want to do this walk. I wanted to stay by the pool and have some time to myself. But Mark and Izo paid for the whole holiday, the luxury villa, the ridiculous chef, and none of us could say no. Kat is up ahead with Russell, and I know she's not struggling, but she didn't want to come either. I could tell. The 6 of us, different colored threads once wound tight around the spool of friendship, now unraveling, pulling in different directions. It's all slower in the dream than it was. As if with each step I'm being dragged through honey to the inescapable future. Freddy's close behind me, and while we're making an effort for the others, we're in foul moods with each other. We haven't had sex once since we came away, and it's really starting to piss him off. I walk a little faster, trying to put some space between USA, space big enough for all my secret guilt, and a few pebbles scatter over the edge. It's not a sheer cliff edge here, but maybe a 15-foot drop undulating to 50 in places. Far enough to kill yourself, for sure. And hearing the noise, Izo looks back at me. Izo, hair white blonde, perfectly beautiful. My oldest friend is she even really my friend anymore, or are we habit? Shields her eyes with her hand to check I'm okay. But I wave her and her perfect thighs on. I'm okay, I call out to her. In reality, I'm so very far from okay. I've done something terrible. I'm consumed by a guilt that stops me sleeping, and has left me with a growing reminder of my mistake. And in moments, everything is about to get very much worse. Asterisk, you don't have to. You know, it's Russell's voice, and in the dream, he's momentarily there beside me, before I start to climb the incline I'm about to fall from. You can turn back now. In the dream, he whispers, with a stale breath. Bad things are that way. You'll die if you go that way. He starts to fade then, evaporating as I look at him. It's too late, I answer, confused. I'm already there. The rest of the dream replays as it happened. I hear Freddy muttering behind me about going faster, close on my heels, pressuring me to speed up. I take a large stride and bite my tongue to stop myself from saying a million things I might or might not regret. And instead, I focus on the promotion and starting my new role in 10 days and the lie I'll tell Freddy. So he'll never know. And then, as I swat a fly away from my face, I stumble forward. At least, I think I stumbled, or did he knock into me as I turn to confront him? My ankle twists under me. I lose my balance. And as I tilt backward, no, I stretch my arms out to Freddy, my hands grasping for him. He reaches out. He does. I know that. I see that. So do the others, turning back to see why I yelped. But his fingers don't even brush mine, and I'm sure he could lean farther forward. And our eyes meet, and as mine plead, all I see is fear and is that relief in his. And then I start to fall. In the dream, I go from the endless terrifying, fall straight to the broken bones, and the beeping hospital machines, and the sepsis, and the fever, and the coma, and the death is cold. Even when just for a little while, death is so very, very cold. Asterisk. Chapter 5 Asterisk. Emily. Wake from the dream, sweating and disoriented in the strange surroundings. It's too dark. No cars, no streetlights. I'm used to the noise of the hospital, which even at night never stops. Sirens wail through double-glazed windows and nurses' shoes whisper up and down the corridors. It's never pitch black and quiet. Not like this. I'm trying to go back to sleep when a quiet thud from downstairs stops me. My skin prickles. After listening intently for a minute and hearing no more noise, I'm about to call it my imagination when there's another deadened thump. I listen harder, acutely aware of how isolated this house is, of how anyone could come in with a shotgun and blast us to death before the police would even be halfway here. The kind of stuff I've read in crime novels and seen on true crime documentaries. I put a hand on Freddy's shoulder to shake him awake, but then I hear a faint caw, a loud, panicked fluttering of thick feathers, heavy wings hitting a wall. Relief floods through me. A bird. It's just a bird. A bird is trapped in the house. I get up and move hesitantly to the bedroom door, my leg immediately screaming even as I reach for my stick. Freddy doesn't stir, but given that he's drunk most of a bottle of wine by himself tonight, that doesn't surprise me. We were both drinking more before my accident, and while I've had months of enforced sobriety, he's still drinking, like we used to. I can do this by myself anyway. It's just letting a bird out. From the landing, I can hear the squawks downstairs grow more frantic. And by the time I make it to the ground floor, I'm sweating despite all the physio and exercise. In the hospital, in the cool hallway, I listen. A hard, fluttering thud, a croak, another thud. I track the sound to the unused drawing room, directly under our bedroom, and after another heavy thump, open the door and quickly slip inside, pressing myself back against the wall before flicking the switch. The sudden yellow light sends the bird into a frenzy, battering itself into every deep red wall in a panicked effort to escape. I have to duck as it circuits the room, talons sharp on its feet. It's a huge black raven and has shat all over the floor in its panic, and I flinch as its heavy wings brush past me. Germs. I bet it's covered in fleas, and mites and germs. The bird lands on the mantelpiece, its panic temporarily exhausted, and lets out a quieter caw. It must have come down the chimney, because the walls are dirty with old soot, where the bird has flung itself against them, and the room smells like something awful. How long has it been since anyone lit a fire here or cleaned out the old flue? The bird stays where it is, black eyes fixed on me, and for a long moment neither of us moves. The house is silent, and as my heart slows, I'm aware of how cold the floor is under my feet. One of us has to make the first move, so I keep my eyes locked on the bird and hobble to the window to let it out, staying pressed to the awful flock paper. It's okay, I murmur, as much to myself as to the bird. It's okay. Nothing to be afraid of. I yank down the top of the sash window, letting in the freezing night air. and almost immediately there's the whisper of wings above my head and a joyful caw as my uninvited guest flies free. It's a wonderful relief as it vanishes into the mist. I try to peer through it for a last glimpse, but the fog is impenetrable, thick and low-lying. There are other noises outside too. Creatures rustling through the unseen garden, hunters and prey alive in the night. I close the window, locking it tight. It's only as I go to leave the room that I realize my bird wasn't alone. Another raven lies unmoving in the cold fireplace, its dull eye sockets empty and unseeing. Still, I feel an accusation in them. Asterisk, you didn't get here in time to save me. The bird is withered, desiccated, dead for months, if not longer. One wing is badly scarred with feathers missing, the area around it a shocking white. Maybe the result of a near miss with a farmer's shotgun at some point, or a fight with another bird, and I'm amazed it could even fly. I'm torn between revulsion and sadness. Was it stuck in the chimney and died there? Did the bird I freed knock it in, panic, on its way down into the house, loosening it from its entombment in the walls? Perhaps my raven had come in search of this one. I read somewhere that corvids are capable of love and vengeance. Was all the fluttering and banging into walls grief, not panic? I can't leave the raven's corpse there, so despite my fear of germs I fetch a dustpan and brush and sweep up the dark body, opening the bottom of the window just enough to tip it out. It's barely more than a husk. A strong wind might even blow it away to dust. But at least it's back in the fresh air now, free of the house. I haul myself back up the stairs, trying not to let the pain win, and in the bathroom I scrub my hands until they're pink with the effort but perfectly clean. I'm suddenly tired again, and this time I think I really will be able to sleep. I flick off the bathroom light and pad across the wooden floor of the dark hallway. The pain comes out of nowhere. It's sharp and needle-focused in the sole of my foot, and I gasp, almost crumpling with the shock as I pull away. In the half-light, the blood on the wooden floorboards shines bright red dot blood. My blood. No, 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 no. I lift my foot up, my aches forgotten, and the dark crimson bloom against my skin fills my vision. My worst fears confirmed. My breath hitches in my chest as the palpitations start. I can't breathe. Blood. A cut. Oh God. Not sepsis again. Please, not sepsis again. And then the white heat of panic overwhelms me. Chapter 6. Freddy, what the hell has she been doing? The footprints run from the top of the stairs to our bedroom door, and even in the gloom of the night they're distinct, clear marks of toes and soles, a ghostly dark gray against the wood. I yawn, shivering, having been in the depth of a dark sleep when noises woke me, and crouched to look closer. Each print is made from a thick layer of dust. Did Emily knock over the ash bucket in the sitting room? Maybe she couldn't sleep, and went down for a cup of tea, and knocked it over and then trod in it. She's clumsier than she was, unsteady on her feet. Unsteady on her feet. That makes me think of that day, of watching her fall, and I shiver some more. I should feel worse about what happened, and what came after. But I don't. Maybe I am a truly terrible person. A monster. There's a wash of yellow coming from under the bathroom door on the other side of the landing. And when the sound of a toilet flushing doesn't come, I don't go downstairs to put the heating back on, as I was planning, but go to check on her. The door's not locked. And Emily always locks the door if she's using the toilet, so I push it open. And for a moment I can't bring myself to speak, taking in the sight. She's sitting on the floor, pressed against the wall, and she looks like a madwoman, or someone from a horror movie. Her hair hanging over her face as she stares intently down at the sole of her foot. Something about the image both unsettles me and gives me a sense of relief. She looks terrified and panicked, as if something on her foot is going to harm her. And I realize that while Emily might not be fully better yet, all the worries she's left the hospital with might buy me some time. Maybe it will be good for me if she stays messed up for a little bit longer. There's no real harm in it, after all. Asterisk. Chapter 7. Asterisk. Emily, the bathroom wall is cold behind my back. The January night, seeping in through the stone, but I embrace the chill, needing it to help me calm down. Eventually, when my breathing is steady, I peel the tissue away and carefully study the cut on my foot. It barely hurts now, and the bleeding has stopped. Maybe it wasn't so deep after all. Still, I add more antiseptic before taping it up with a plaster. I'll need to keep an eye on it. Just in case of sepsis, of coma, of death. Again. Death is cold, empty, nothing. Death came before the coma, that's what they tell me, when they were battling the sepsis. I remember fever, fear, a sense of being elsewhere, of thinking, this is it, oh God, this is it, how can a broken leg kill me? After that, there was nothing, even when they jolted me back to life. Minutes after I'd stopped breathing, I didn't know anything about it. The long sleep of the coma lasted 3 months, hanging between the light and the void, holding on to life by a gossamer thread until, finally, I opened my eyes again. Death trails me though, and I'm still trying to shake him off. It'll pass, they say, it'll pass, but they don't know everything. They don't know what haunts me. I glanced down at my foot again. Was the nail rusty? You okay? Asterisk. Freddy's in the doorway, confused to see me on the floor, my foot plastered and a bottle of antiseptic beside me. Double quotes. Yes. I hold out a hand, and our eyes meet for a moment, both thinking of my accident, before he grips it tightly, too tightly, and pulls me to my feet. There was a bird trapped downstairs. I let it out, but then I trod on a nail coming back to bed. I wondered, what the hell was going on when I saw the footprints? Do you need me to do anything? His arm feels good around my waist, handsome face, full of concern. He's boyish in the pale light, almost like he was when we met. I've missed it, that all-encompassing love. I've missed him. I stand on my plastered cut, and there's no pain. It's a relief. Pull the nail up tomorrow. And what footprints? In the hallway I see them for myself. Ashy black mark 6 or 7 of them leading to our bedroom door. I'd glance over the banister, but there aren't any on the stairs. How strange. Is this the nail? Freddy's crouched. How did it get in upside down? The sharp metal tip shines under the overhead light, but it seems smaller now and has only a couple of drops of rusty red around it. I was sure that my foot had spurted blood everywhere. Has it seeped under the floorboards through the tiny hole? I'll get that up in the morning, I promise. I don't know how the soot got there. I'm still looking at the footprints. My feet are clean. I look back at the clean bathroom floor. Has to be you. Who else could it be? Did you wash your cut? Well, yes. Asterisk, there you go. He shrugs. You washed it off. Get back to bed while I wipe it up. It's freezing out here. I can't shake the image of some unknown faceless figure creeping around the house while I was panicking in the bathroom and Freddy slept. And when he gets in beside me, I roll onto my good side and slip an arm over him. His skin is cold, but as the warmth of the duvet envelops us, he turns to face me, kissing me in the dark. And it's been so long that when we have sex, it's almost like the first time all over again. We're breathless, tugging at each other's pajamas, and I forget about the awful scars up one leg and pretend my skin is smooth and firm. We're like we used to be as we have fast and urgent sex, and I cling to him as my mind empties of sepsis and hospitals and the accident and what I did for the promotion. And I lose myself in feeling alive. When we're finished, Freddy's like a hot water bottle beside me, and I listen to his breathing as it slows into sleep. I lie there awake for a while longer, once again alert for any sign of fever in case my foot gets infected, teased by thoughts of those sooty footprints, of a stranger's movements in our house. It isn't possible, of course. They had to be mine. It's the only explanation. My brain isn't to be trusted. Post-sepsis syndrome, that's what they call it. That's what I have to look out for. Downstairs there are several leaflets on it. Fatigue, difficulty sleeping, muscle and joint pain, difficulty breathing, reduced organ function are among a few of the joyful physical symptoms. And then there are the mental and emotional ones: hallucinations, panic attacks, mood swings, nightmares, brain fog, memory loss, PTSD. Hallucinations, brain fog. I didn't realize my feet were dirty. That's all there is to it. As I finally drift into sleep, the strange creaking comes again, quietly distant. From somewhere out in the corridor, I pull tighter to Freddy. Larkin Lodge is an old house with bad windows, I tell myself as I sink into unconsciousness. That's all. Outside a raven croaks, its coarse cry barking into the night sky, and it sounds like laughter. Asterisk. Chapter 8, Asterisk Emily. The sun shines winter morning bright, and even the heavy wallpapers and dark wood floors seem lighter as I leave. Freddy rummaging for pliers to pull up the nail and wrap up against the cold, to go and check out the garden. Can't believe how much outside space there is. The garden of our London flat was a tiny patio, with space for a bench and a few plants. And now we've gone from one extreme to the other. At the bottom of what is technically the garden, maybe 80 feet of unkept lawn, frozen by winter, there's a pond hidden by overgrown reeds. And then to the right there's a small orchard, branches, skeleton bare, and beyond that, what looks like a composting pile. Down a few uneven steps to the left which I take carefully, one at a time. My stick wedged firm on the stone, there's an overgrown path that leads to 2 outbuildings, a shed that Freddy's used to store our old attic boxes, and a tiny stone building that maybe once housed pigs or goats. The door is low and it's pitch black inside. I peek in but don't venture farther. The air dank and cold and musty. I can see another rundown structure with half a corrugated iron roof and what looks like an old septic tank that's going to need removing or replacing. It's shadier here, the cold cutting through me, and I turn back with a shiver, wanting the sunlight. It's a lot of land, but that also means a lot of work. Work. I still can't believe they let me go. From newly appointed director of marketing, leading 3 major campaigns, and a $90,000 salary to unemployed. It's a punch in the solar plexus every time I think about it. I've always loved working. It's something of my own that I can rely on, have self-worth over. I was good at my job. My parents never had very much, and while they were happy, I've never shaken that need to have my own income, to succeed. Freddy comes from a family of old-fashioned values. His mom stayed home and raised the children. And while I may have got caught up with thinking I wanted that too when we got together, babies and baking, it isn't really me. In the quiet of the garden, I feel entirely alone. I worked so hard for that job, did something I don't like to think about, something with consequences that hurt me more than I thought possible. Yet here I am, jobless, after draining the company's health insurance, with my very expensive long hospital stay, and with a year's more recovery to go, as if God is punishing me. Maybe the garden can be my project. Distract me from my guilt. Suddenly sad again, I turn away from the overgrown, forgotten wild, and head down the side of the house. The air is icy but so clean, and there's no wind, the sun warm on my hair. And, as I come alongside a downstairs window, I see that the dead bird I put outside is already gone. I can pretend I never found it at all. It never died. It was never here. That thought makes me sad again. It never died. It was never here. My leg throbs with sudden sharp pain, momentarily draining all the color from the world. Leaning on my stick, I hobble toward the front, where the entrance to the house is level. And as my breath catches at the sudden desolate majesty of the frozen moors beyond the road and the rock wall, I hear a raven cry. I shield my eyes against the low sun and make my way down to the bottom of the drive, curious to see if it's the same bird I freed last night. Ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. The voice startles me, and as I catch sight of black wings flapping skyward, my sun-struck eyes make out the outline of a woman standing in the road. I've reached the bottom of the drive, and the woman comes forward into the shade where I can see her. Edgar Allan Poe? I ask. Yes. She's slim and blonde, in her late 40s maybe, her hair swept up in a messy but stylish chignon. Instead of a coat, she has a long, thick cardigan wrapped around her, which surely isn't enough to keep the bitter cold out, watery sunlight or not. And her jeans are tucked into UGG-style boots. She's looking not at me, but up at the house, and I can't quite figure out her expression. Wistful, perhaps, but there's a wariness, a darkness there. I notice she doesn't come onto the drive just as I don't step onto the road. I heard someone had bought the lodge. Her head tilts sideways, her eyes still not on me. I had to come and see for myself if it was true. Yes, we have. My husband, Freddie, is inside. My sentence drifts to a stop. She's not listening. She's already walking back down the lane, hugging herself in the cardigan, as if she hadn't really seen me at all. At least she spoke to me, I tell myself wryly. That's more than you get early morning in central London. I head back toward the house, prettier in daylight than it had been in the grey of yesterday, and while its facade is still maudlin, there's nothing a fresh lick of bright paint won't cure. As I take it all in, I get a surprising rush of joy that this big house is ours. Away from London, away from it all, up above, in the floor I've yet to see. Sunlight hits the beautiful arch window, and suddenly it looks like the house winks at me. Chapter 9. Freddie, throw the pliers back under the sink and see Emily at the bottom of the drive, talking to a woman there, both of them with halos of sunlight around them. Sometimes it feels like she's not the only one who's woken from a long sleep, as if we're both dreamers suddenly awake in this house without really knowing how we got here. The coffee machine bubbles, but I'm not sure I need the caffeine. I'm jumpy enough as it is. It was easier when she was in the hospital. I could go back to the flat and have some time to myself to deal with things, to calm myself down from my situation and straighten out. At least we're far away from everything. Here, a small breathing window. This house was a godsend. It's strange. When I think back over the past few months, the move from London has been like a fever dream. Until then, I'd been floundering, waiting for Emily to die. But then when they said she'd live, I needed a new plan. I'd finally got round to charging up Emily's old iPad to take in to her, and the estate agent's page was the last thing she'd looked at on holiday. There it was, Larkin Lodge, tranquil in the sunshine. The potential solution to all my problems, waiting patiently there for me. And the plan immediately fell into place. She can't see me as she turns and walks slowly back up to the house. Eyes on the gravel, her stick doing a lot of the hard work. I felt her scars when we were having sex last night. Surprise, I'm not going to complain about. And how she pulled away when I touched them, as if I was going to be revolted by them. They don't bother me, not like that, but they do remind me of that day on the cliff. The hangovers we had from drinking so much the night before. What had she been doing drinking anyway? It's a thought I've had more than once since the accident, but I'm not going to broach it with her. Maybe she hadn't drunk that much at all. Maybe she'd pretended. She wasn't pretending her bad mood though, and neither was I. I knew why I was on edge, but she'd been shitty for a couple of weeks despite getting the promotion she wanted. I guess, knowing what I do now, she wasn't feeling great and probably shouldn't have been out on the cliff at all. If I'd known she'd told me the whole day would have been different. I'd never have let her up there. But I remember walking behind her, getting closer. Both of us sniping at each other as the others got ahead, and having a sudden red-hot wish that she'd just get out of the bloody way, one way or another. When I shut my eyes at night, I still see the surprised terror in her eyes as she fell, reaching out for me. The coffee machine beeps that it's done as I hear the front door open and she comes back inside. She looks happy, and it gives me a surprising rush of warm affection. Coffee. We need to get back on an even keel. A fresh start. I really hope those scars fade. Asterisk. Chapter 10. Asterisk. Emily, the Lamb and Shepherd, is a proper old-fashioned pub, with beams overhead and brass horseshoes on the walls, and the whole building is a rabbit warren of overheated spaces. I've had a glass of wine, which has gone straight to my head, and I'm on the verge of feeling entirely disoriented on the way to the bathroom when I peer into one alcove, and there she is, looking back, the woman from the lane. She's animated, mid-conversation with two men, one an elderly vicar, a dog collar tucked into his blue shirt, and the other a very handsome man of about her age, casually dressed in a loose white shirt, open at the neck against tanned skin, his thick hair cut slightly long. There's bright paint on his trousers, a dash of blue and a small smear of red. Artist's paint, not decorator paint. He reminds me of the year-rounders we met in the bars, in the quieter spots of Ibiza. Free, easy. He says something awry. Smile on his face and a hand on the woman's thigh, and the other to laugh. That's when she looks up and sees me. Their conversation stops, and I become the focus of their attention. Sorry, I'm suddenly embarrassed. I didn't mean to stare. I saw you this morning. Outside Larkin Lodge. Oh yes. Her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. I remember now. The new owner. I passed by on my walk. The new owner. The vicar is immediately on his feet, one hand stretched out, beaming cheerfully. How lovely to meet you. So glad the old place has people in it again. It's been empty too long. I'm Paul Bradley Carnot, to be confused with the other Paul Carr, who owns the liquor store on the high street and is known to drink all his profits. I'm the vicar at St. Olaf's. His grin is infectious, although I'm still curious about the woman in the manches with. It didn't seem like she'd passed by this morning. It felt like her visit was intentional. I'm Emily Bennett. My husband, Freddie, and I just moved in. Always nice to have fresh blood in the village, the handsome man says, and I swear to God, I start to blush. He bleeds a sexual charisma that gives him the air of some movie star. A natural charm. He's hot, really hot, and even after everything, I feel a rush of attraction. I'm Joe Carter, and this is my wife Sally. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure, Sally says, before adding, looking at me thoughtfully, you're very beautiful. It's an unexpected and odd compliment, and I'm not sure how to respond. Oh, thank you, I settle on, and so are you. Isn't she, Joe? She looks over at her husband. You should paint her. Maybe give her time to settle in first. Joe smiles at me. My wife is my manager. Every new face is a potential masterpiece to Sally. I'm an artist, and a very sought-after one, the vicar interjects. All the London galleries want work from him. We lived in the lodge for a while about 20 years ago. Sally got quite attached to it, but it's too big for us. And then we saw the cottage in Wivelscombe, and the studio space, and we haven't looked back. Train into London in 3 hours. Perfect. I hadn't thought about the lodge for years, Sally says. And then there you were, bringing it back to life. Asterisk. Welcome to Wivelscombe, Emily, Paul says. Heart of Dartmoor. Is that a niche Conrad joke? Oh, you're a bookworm. What perfect timing. We've just wrapped up our book club. He holds up a volume. The collected short stories of Edgar Allan Poe. A little too horror for me, but interesting. We've just done The Raven, poem rather than story. Ravens are drawn to death, Sally says softly. Did you know that? Where my imagination goes onto canvas. Sally loves books. This is her thing, not mine. Joe gets to his feet. And I still have work to get done tonight, darling, so let's go. My husband isn't much of a reader either. Well, maybe you should join our club. The vicar holds out the book. Take it and have a read. We meet in here every third Thursday. Maybe. I take the book. although I'm not sure I'm ready for some middle-aged book group in the country yet. And thank you. I watched them leave together, Joe's hand gently resting on the small of Sally's back, his movements fluid like a cat, and her beauty almost ethereal. And I'm momentarily too fascinated by them to move, until my bladder twinges, and I'm reminded of what sent me this way in the first place. You had me worried. Freddy's waiting for me by the door. Thought maybe you'd been sick. Too much rich food too soon. He holds the door open for me, but doesn't rest his hand protectively on the small of my back as I hobble out. I asked at the bar about local workmen for the garden, he continues. Ones with good reputations. He's going to speak to a couple of people. Thinks we should be able to get some yon to start pretty soon, if the weather breaks, I think. One was someone called Pete Watkins. I've given him my number to pass on. Great. Sounds good. I can just about make out Sally's and Joe's faces as a low classic racing green sports car pulls out of the car park. I smile and wave, but they either don't see me or are too deep in their own conversation to wave back. Neither of them is smiling, their expressions intense, so different from the mood in which they left. I lower my hand, and then they're gone. Chapter 11, Emmelium, boiling in bed, under the blanket and duvet. How can Freddy be cold? It's baking in here. He's always had bad circulation, a hangover from the chain smoking. That was one of the lesser bad habits of his youth, but this is crazy. I'm sweating in my pajamas. A worse thought strikes me. Maybe I'm coming down with something. Could my foot be infected? I creep out to the bathroom and press the thermometer against my forehead, taking deep calming breaths until it beeps and tells me I'm exactly 36.8 degrees Celsius, normal for me. I peel the plaster off to check my foot, and there's barely any sign that it was hurt at all. Certainly no red ring of infection. It's more of a relief than it should be, and I remind myself I'm no more likely to get sepsis again than anyone else. Probably less likely, because I'll be so careful. I was unlucky. It isn't some bullshit punishment for what I did. There is no karma. And anyway, I've already been punished. The hollow ache inside is a reminder of that. I turn off the bathroom light and step through the gloom onto the landing. It's a clear night and moonlight streams in from the hall window, a pool of white to light my way, and I'm almost in the bedroom when scratch, I freeze. In the quiet, the sound, like a secret whisper, barely carries to me. Scratch, SCRAA, at CH. It comes again. Not a thud or a flutter of frantic wings. Whatever it is, it's not a bird. And whatever it is, it's coming from upstairs. The moonlight now seems to only enhance the dark shadows that fill the corners and doorways off the landing. And as I hear the sound again, I reluctantly peer up to the next floor. Maybe it's a rat. It's a grim thought. We had mice once in the flat, but never a rat. Scroach. Definitely too loud for a mouse. In fact, it doesn't sound like an animal of any kind. For a moment I'm not sure what it sounds like, and then when it comes again, it strikes me. Fingernails on wood. I look back toward the bedroom and then upward, caught in a no man's land, but I know I won't be able to sleep until I've checked it out. And I don't want to wake Freddy up 2 nights in a row. I've got no choice. Despite the niggling, irrational fear in the pit of my stomach, I grip the banister and press my good foot down on the first stair. 1 step at a time, I climb the steep staircase, my good leg doing most of the work, but finally, a little breathless, I reach the top and flick on the light. A solitary bulb, no shade over it, pools soft yellow across the landing. Dust motes hang suspended in the air against the pale green walls of the large landing paint. Not paper, hair and the old gloss. Skirting boards are chipped, as are the cupboards covering the radiators in an old-fashioned way, as if perhaps the previous owners ran out of energy or money to make it as ornate up here. I find a bathroom on the left, with a double bedroom alongside it, as well as several storage cupboards lining the wall. I don't find any evidence of mouse droppings or worse, and certainly no flapping bird. The landing in the rooms off it stays silent. In the faded, dusky bulb light, I wonder if I heard anything at all, or if it was simply my imagination playing tricks on me. There's only one door left to open, on the far side of the staircase, the primary bedroom suite, the one we'll be moving into as soon as my leg is more manageable. From outside, the large oval window is the centerpiece of the front of the house, hinting that the space inside is something special. Facing the wooden door, I hear the very faintest scratch coming from inside, and then, taking a deep breath, I step forward, grip the cool metal handle, and twist as the vast room comes into view. I have such a wave of cognitive dissonance that I can't move or think. It is breathtakingly beautiful, the moon hanging at the window like a perfect bauble of light, dressing the polished floor in sheets of silky white, and from the pale walls the ceiling arches up to a point, running out to where the large oval window sits in the middle. But, despite its beauty, the air is punched from my lungs as I cringe backward. What I feel is a terrifying darkness. I stare, my eyes wide. An invisible foulness covers every surface in the room like a sentient oil, clinging to it, spoiling it like rot. Darkness. The room is a bleak, cold space, void of anything good. As I stand there, my legs trembling under me, my bladder suddenly full, I'm too afraid to move. It's as if the essence of every terrible event that has ever happened has been trapped inside this one room, has gestated here, is still gestating. New horrors here. I can't breathe, and I don't want to breathe in case the stench of Ithaca, surely something this wicked must have some stench, eats into me like maggots on a corpse, and I'll have to carry it with me forever. Something bad happened in here. Someone died in here. I step backward, out of the room, and the temperature rises several degrees against my goosebumped skin as my heart pounds. The room stretching endlessly in front of me, that oval window mocking like a black eye, glinting, wickedness, malevolent, and with purpose. And then suddenly something is rat-a-tatting on the outside glass, and I let out a small shriek. Sure, my heart is going to explode. Only the screeching caw, and its large beak tapping again at the window, before flying away makes me realize it's the raven, not some otherworldly creature, and I quickly yank the door shut, but not before a waft of cold air steals out after me. I look around, half expecting something whatever was scratching to physically manifest. Grotesque. In a corner, my fear of the room overwhelms my fear of the stairs, and, clutching at the banister with both hands, I come down sideways, like a crab, 1 foot at a time, looking backward, more than forward, afraid I might see a thick, sticky black smog, determined to rot my insides creeping down after me. What happened in that room? What is in that room? Why did you open the window? I startle when I see Freddy, irritated, standing on the landing as I round the corner, and then almost laugh with relief. He doesn't wait for me to answer before he speaks again. You know, I was cold. I look up, confused. The lower half of the sash window has been pulled up, wide open. Freddy yanks it down and screws the latch tight. And now this place is an icebox. I haven't touched it. I heard something upstairs and went to look, that's all. It didn't open itself, he mutters, shivering. It must have been you. Maybe you were half asleep, and there's nothing upstairs. The rooms are all empty. I open my mouth to protest, to tell him how horrible it felt in the room, but he's obviously annoyed and tired, so instead I say nothing. He yawns. God, I need more sleep. He heads to the bathroom, leaving the door open, and calls out while he pees. We've got to get everything ready tomorrow. They'll probably arrive early on Saturday. I stare at the window. Was it open when I got up? Suddenly I don't remember, unsure of myself. I don't think it was, but I wasn't looking. But surely I wouldn't have been sweating.
Thank you for listening. I hope you did like it, and see you next time. Bye.